The rest, I actually threw a pair away last night.
You threw
But
a pair of crowns
alts.
away?
I have a few alts that have them, and then several in storages all over the place. I don't really throw them away much, but yeah, I don't really keep them on me.
I throw the costumes away and I keep the crowns.
I have a screenshot from last time we owned Calpheon. I had 5,300 health. It's a stupid cost.
Oh man, you killed me while I was wearing that too. Man, a sword gets you on the back, and that's fucking it. What's your AP?
254.
254?
Yeah, I'm not that high.
Where do you get the extra AP?
Tongue grab belt.
Ah. Good for
Were you wearing the crown when you were dueling me? Did you just put that on?
I don't remember.
So that's some VP you missed.
I think I had the pen on.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't know. I was testing it yesterday with Oakley, and on about half my buffs, I could kill a Zerker in 3 hits. 61 Zerker.
Wow. See, my problem is I can kill the squishy classes in one combo, right? But like, it's so hard to get. And it's funny because I was on Mac's stream fighting with Mac, and like he'd kill me like 8 times out of 10. But like I could actually get him on the ground and kill him. Like I had something to do because I could catch him out with the smash part of slashing or grave digging, and I can't do that anymore. And it's just it's I'm having a real tough time with it. But we'll talk about my deficiencies as a PvPer another time.
Yeah, I also got that level advantage on you a little bit. It makes me a little bit more tanky than others.
Oh, are you 62?
Yeah, I am.
Good for you.
This rock is a little odd.
You having a tough time there?
Nah, I just I don't know. I keep sitting into the rock.
Where's all your boys? We need your boys out here. Calpheon too.
They're watching.
No, they need to be here with the flags. We need the flags.
I don't know
out.
if I can get them to come out here. Let me check.
Wow. Okay. I guess they hate memes.
I'll see.
Okay. So okay. Notorious #1 hates memes. Got that. Understood.
#1. It's from Orwin.
#2 hates memes. Done. All right, so let's dig into this a little bit. The first part of this I really want to go over is, and I sent him an itinerary, so he has some sort of idea of what we're going to talk about at least. So first, I want to know a little bit more about the man himself, Pax. What games did you come from before BDO? Have you done any leadership roles before this game? And anything you want to tell, a bunch of people about yourself personally.
Well, let's see. I started playing games online around 1998. Been playing for a long fucking time. I started out with am I allowed to curse? Should I not curse?
No, you can curse.
All right, cool. I started out with
nothing homophobic or racial,
1. Oh, I won't do that.
Okay.
Started out with Diablo 1 and StarCraft way back in the day. Just played a lot of those. No real leadership roles or anything there. I'd hang around in online communities. 10 years old. No one wants a 10-year-old around, right? So like just playing the game. And I went from there to a couple of MMOs, played a bit of Lineage 1, which is where this guild actually came from, and Final Fantasy 11.
Wow.
For a while, till about 2004 when World of Warcraft came out. And around then, I started playing WoW, like everyone else did. But then I put the game down, went back to Final Fantasy 11. WoW just didn't really have it for me, if that makes sense. And then a year later, I picked WoW back up and played it till probably 08. I was not a leader, but I was an officer in quite a few high-end guilds on there. Well, not quite a few, 3. But from that point, I went back, and in WoW, we got the 34th kill worldwide on the fucking big dudes, Arthas. And I had some world #1s and stuff like that. But it was just, the game felt done for me. I felt like I beat it. And my friends all started playing Dota, and so we spent a lot of time playing some Dota. And I played Dota for a couple years until I started playing League of Legends. and I played League of Legends for a long time. I've been playing since that game came out.
I'm sorry.
And
Have you ever gotten permanently banned from League of Legends?
I've had accounts get perma banned, but never for being toxic. I have been chat banned several times.
How do you get permanently banned without being toxic?
I got permanently banned on one of my alts for third-party program usage, which was because I bought it off a website because I wanted to buy a Smurf.
Yeah.
And they used bots to level it up.
Yeah,
and
that happened to me too.
I'm gonna lease one trick, and I had the account named Spiders, and it got banned, which kind of blows, to be honest. But then I played League for a while, started playing Lineage 1 again on a private server with a few of the boys that are Notorious now. Probably a community, it was about 10 people, 12 people. And we saw this game coming out back in, God, it had to have been, we started looking at it in December of 2015, I want to say.
Wow, yeah.
Hold on, that's 2018, yes, 2015. And we got ready for it. When it came out that February of 2017, we got on here, and the rest is history. We made Notorious day one, and we were a small guild on Orwin, kind of just playing the game, doing what we could. We always kind of had the higher end on the level and gear curve for our core, but we were small and couldn't really compete with a lot of bigger guilds. However, over time we grew, and I mean, now we're here.
So well, let's dig into the overtime part. I wasn't really. Was my first Korean RPG. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, right up until I joined Crack House, which is what Aftershock eventually turned into. And so we were known as Crack House for the most part on Crack House and Rehab for the most part on Orwin. And I was kind of an officer, but I was really just kind of sitting in a flame tower doing defense and all that kind of stuff. So, do you have any stories from the Orwin days? You know, I know Iconic pretty much just put their dick on everything, but do you have any stories from the Orwin days that really stand out to you?
We actually got into a lot of fights with you guys back then. Crack House, Rehab as well, when you guys renamed.
Yep, I remember.
Your guild you merged with before you got real big. Maelstrom also had a permadeck on us.
Oh, they had a permadeck on you, really?
They had a permadeck on us. Okay, so the story with them is pretty interesting. You remember back when grinding 56 was kind of hard?
Oh, yeah.
They've got a unicorn sitting on me now. Back when grinding 56 was hard, I was about 91%. This was my introduction to Maelstrom. And my boy Genster, everyone knows who he is. Right?
Yeah, we've heard of him.
I would grind Helms red all the time. Didn't care, it was always red. And I was decently geared back then. I think around that time I was 146, 177, if those stats sound right. Maybe 164 DP, I don't remember. But I could really defend myself. Swords were pretty strong too. That was back when Dark Flame was pretty insane. And there was this tamer, I don't remember his name, but he was a tamer in Maelstrom. And he was bullying Jin. And Jin was like, dude, you're red. Can you come kill this guy for me, please? And so I just came out and I killed this guy over and over and over again until I told him, the guy got him to leave, basically.
Yeah.
And I went back to grinding once he left Jin alone. And I was grinding, and all of a sudden there were 15 Maelstrom guys there. And no matter where I would go, I was like, okay, well, fine. I'm going to bounce out and just change where I'm grinding. And they were essentially following me around, trying to keep me from leveling, right? And they had people on multiple channels. There were only 12 channels back then, so it wasn't that hard.
Right.
Hold on one second. Sorry, my phone's ringing.
You're supposed to say your Snapchat's blown up.
Anyways, so let's see, where was I? All right, so they did this. This is the first time I'd ever really experienced like this concentrated griefing, and I was red, so I'd lose 2% every time I died. We lost experience when we died back then, anyways. It didn't really matter that much.
Yep.
But shit, I probably lost 6 or 8% from them doing that for a good 2-3 days straight.
Wow, you were that bad at Sork? You died that many times?
It's hard to deal with anything.
I'm fucking with you.
When you have 12 to 15 people chasing you wherever you go, and they had 6 to 8 Horus Wizards, man, it was crazy. Maelstrom was pretty legit.
Yeah, and I mean that was the merger that was the best merger I'd say ever. We had no fallout. Their leader was kind of a figurehead, and we sniffed
Cade,
him
I
out
believe.
Cade, and then Solrax was really leading it, and he stayed playing the game, with us until he quit and stuff like that. So that was the merger that really made us. Oh my god, this fucking kid, this accessories kid was stream sniping me earlier. Help me to 56. So anyway, he wasn't stream sniping, but so was there any other big fights outside of your interactions with Crack House Rehab Maelstrom that the old Orwin days that stand out to you? I remember trying to fuck with LOTD constantly. What was it, Cal 2 that they held down all the time? Was that the channel they had?
I think they were on Cal 2 quite a lot. We were also on Cal 2 quite a lot because there was this whole theory that because it was the role playing channel, people
Yeah.
didn't actually grind on it because it was always like crowded, but no one was ever in grind spots, so we could go there and get our grind spots without much fighting.
By the way, everybody, Cal 2 being the ERP channel came from Orwin. You're fucking welcome.
Anyways, we were pretty notorious back then. We had a guy in the guild named Schmubble. A lot of people are familiar with him. His name is You Are Trash now. He was in Man Up, and I believe he's been in Black Rose Man Up. His gear's currently blown up. I think he's brutal right now. But he was pretty well known as a griefer back then. You definitely had your experience with him as well. I remember that.
Oh, okay.
But he would drop guild whenever someone got into a fight with him.
Perfect.
Yeah, and he would just drop guild and grief, and I let him back in because he's one of the guys who came over to the game with us from Lineage. But eventually, he decided to go his own separate ways because it wasn't really his thing. But that we were known because he would target out Relevant and Veritas, LOTD, just all these guilds. What was their name? Luciform. Any high-end guild, he would just go grief whoever he could. He was like as bad of a griefer as that other ranger, Slackshot.
Oh,
but
God.
He didn't spam and like meme and all this shit. He would just BM people in grief. And so we kind of had that reputation. So people hated us for that. I didn't really mind people hated us. I've never really minded being hated when it came to these games. I play for my guild first. I don't really care about other people's opinions. It's kind of just the way it works.
So the burning question that I've had, and maybe this is obvious, and I should know this, why the fuck is your guild icon a Z?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Everyone asked this question. It was originally an N.
That's what I figured. I figured it was just an N on its side, right?
Well, it was an N on a 15-degree angle, so it was very slightly tilted. And this was way back in the Orwin days. I used to get this shit, dude. But it was 15 degrees, right? So it still looked like an N that was just a little bit tilted, but constantly. Why is your N a Z? Why is your emblem a Z? Why is it a Z? Why
So
is
now
it
it's a Z.
right? No. So in response, I just tilted it to 45 degrees. So it was halfway in between both. And I said, fuck it, we're staying there. It's been there ever since.
It's kind of toxic.
So now we're the guild with the tilted in because we're a bunch of tilted players.
Do people ever call you Zatorius?
Oh, yeah, all the time. We actually get that all the time.
It comes up in my head constantly. I'm like, oh, Zatorius one. And I'm like, why the fuck am I saying that? I know it's Notorious. I'm sure it's some fucking meme that I don't know about. But I've never asked you about that. I've always wondered. Now it's out. Everybody will know. All 86 people.
Nah, so Zatorius is actually a name we use in other games when we can't get the name Notorious. Most of the time we'll go to day one launches and stuff and go claim our guild name like right away. But there have been games that we go to where the name's already taken, like Guild Wars 2 and stuff like that, where we'll just take the name Zatorius as a joke because it works for our members because they all know that story.
Is Zatorius currently playing any other games actively?
We were playing Bless, but that was kind of a shit show.
Was it kind of a little bit, maybe?
Yeah. The community itself has guilds in other places. I know that there's a group that asked me if they could use the name in World of Warcraft, but I think that they kind of lost interest in World of Warcraft already. There were quite a few of us playing Guild Wars 2 for a bit. I know that the name floats around in League. There's a clan there, obviously.
I'm actively playing Rock Band, says the pink shark playing cymbals.
Really, though, I mean, we have a Steam group, and people just play a lot of different Steam games. What'll happen is in our general chat, people just ask if other people want to play games with them, and they'll list their games or whatever, and people play. And I mean, in our community, just a whole bunch of different games. As long as you're online at Node War time, it's all good.
Are you the leader of the community, as it were?
Yes, I am.
Wow. So talk about that struggle a little bit. How do you do when you've got somebody that is really hard on BDO, really hates BDO, right? And I think we've all had this member, right, that goes, I hate the payout, I hate this, I hate that. I know you guys have had good payouts lately, but just something happens where they dip set and they're like, I'm not gonna play BDO, but then you find them in Show Nation or Vertex or Guild X 2 weeks later, but they're still in your Discord and they're still kind of active, they're still kind of playing with you. How does the community guild of Notorious deal with that?
So I've never actually had someone say I don't want to play the game and then end up in another guild. I just fell off the cliff. I've had one person say I can no longer play the game because of real life issues, and then he ended up in show a week later. But a lot of people will just tell me the truth.
So you've never had somebody just go, hey, I'm just gonna go join Vertex or Cho or this or that, but I really like you guys and I'd like to stay friendly. You've never had that situation.
Okay, so I've had people say that directly, like I'm gonna go join. I had a guy say I'm gonna go join Man Up. We were all kind of curious why he was gonna go join Man Up because we were like that guild's gonna be dead soon, anyways.
Okay. We'll get
well,
to
no,
that.
I mean,
we'll get to that.
They ended up dying, but
yeah,
I mean,
you're a prophet. I get it.
And I mean, it was obvious from day one, right?
Yeah, it was super obvious from day one that they were just gonna die over this. Continue. We'll get into that.
But most of the time, I had one other guy end up in show the same way. But other than that, no.
So what do you do with that person that does that?
Quit the game.
Do you kick them from the Discord? Are they still allowed to play with you? Is there like a
private guest?
There's a private. Oh, okay, so you just give them like the lobby perms.
Yeah, I switch them to a guest role, and they're still more than welcome to hang out and everything. But I find a lot of times that those people kind of stop hanging out on their own because they feel a little ashamed or embarrassed. Not in their choice to leave, but like they feel like they left a lot of these people behind. I don't know. So kind of natural.
So the only guild you've ever been in this game is Notorious, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll skip over that point. So let's go into. You didn't siege every week for the longest time, and I think when the merge happened, it was such a long time ago. I can't remember. So talk about when the merge happened and the server merge happened, and how you guys kind of decided to. How did you find your power? When did you first siege? When the merge happened, and how did Notorious kind of start moving into the siege scene?
All right. Prior to the server merge, we were fielding 14 to 18 players, so not very many.
Nice.
But we went to 2 sieges. We were able to win tier 2s back then with 14 to 18 players, or in PvP low, right? I mean, that's just that was how it was. But after we didn't really take it seriously. Siege, that is, until after. This cat keeps trying to get on my lap. One sec.
That's a terrible thing to call your girlfriend.
So after the merge, we continued recruiting just the same way we always were, and we got ourselves up to a 30-man turnout maybe. And we were able to consistently compete for tier 1s, even do some tier 2s here and there. And one day we bullied this guild called Enigmatic on a node, and they were a live skill guild that just tried to place on a node, and they had weaker leadership, I guess. But jokingly, we were like, "Oh, if you ever want to join a real PvP guild, you can merge with us, right?" And so that happened. Actually, we ended up picking up their members, and their leader quit the game, and that ended up resulting in some of my best officers here. But really, a lot of their players fell out. A lot of live skillers, you really don't need to take those to PvP, right? Like they don't want to. But so we went on. We had 30, 35 men, maybe even 40 man turnouts now. We were consistently able to win any tier 1s we went to. We were about a mid-tier, low-tier, tier 2 guild. And I've known Hector of a guild called Grim Angels from Morrowind as well for a long, long time. And I used to hop in their Discord, troll a bit. I knew their guys, and just hang out every once in a while. And one night I was bullshitting about how they should merge with us. They were also a fairly strong PvP guild, tier 1 guild. Probably one of the kings of tier 1, really. But I kind of shot out the idea. I was like, let's merge, dude. And he was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. Next day he messages me and he's like, let's do it. So we get our numbers out and he brings 46 members over. I made room for all 46.
Wow.
Our turnouts after that went from 40 to 75. A lot of those members are my really good officers. What I'd consider to be my second in command was one of their officers. Hector himself is one of my council members still.
Your second in command.
A perfect merge.
Your second in command is the guy that has a name that's like your family name, right?
No, that's Hector.
Oh, okay.
You message him all the time.
Yeah, I fucking hate him. I hate him because of his name so much.
He's one of my seconds, but like my primary political second in this game is Drukpa. Also came from that guild. But yeah, I have a council of 8 players. He's one of them. And then let's see. So we went on from there. We kind of shot up out of nowhere at that point. We were pretty strong. We were fielding 75 consistently. Our first war after that merge, we fought Kyokai and Rage, and a guild called Sensei. We ended up blasting Kyokai. Our first war, it was crazy. And then we dumpstered Rage, and Scotty messaged me, and he was like, dude, I'm going back to tier 1s. These numbers are not fair. It's funny. But so that went on, and those members started to fall off, the ones who didn't really want a PvP, and we started to have more room in a guild called Martyrs that we took our first territory with, which was Serendia back then. We allied up with Martyrs, and we 2v3'd or 2v4'd the node against the Trade Federation, which was called something else at that point in time.
They keep going back and forth. They can't make up their mind.
So it was Trade Fed. I was Trade Fed in 2 other guilds. They all had a 40 to 50 man attendance. Another one was Kyoto.
Yep.
But we ended up beating them out, and Martyrs was like, thanks for helping us take the territory. So we took the territory. Martyrs ended up dying that week. And their leadership came to me and they were like, well, we're done with this. We're bored with this running a guild thing. We don't want to do this anymore. Can we merge with you guys? So then they brought over 15 players and joined us.
Wow.
And
you've taken in so many fucking people.
Dude. So that happened, and that made us pretty strong. Like, that was the point where we started helping man up, and that was at the point right after that where we basically 2v2'd on Valencia with Black Rose and Vertex. And that was the fairly well-known to my members, and I think a lot of people remembered it back then, but there was a war where Vertex hit this no-name guild called Notorious, and they just couldn't push in. We kept wiping them. And we couldn't beat them or anything, but we ended up wiping them 4 times that war, I think.
Wow.
And they just couldn't get pressure on us, and so Man Up just killed Black Rose, and we ended up winning that war. And because of it, Man Up ended up giving us Valencia 2 weeks later, which started their 2-week streak. So they hit us, or they gave it to us 2 weeks later. You guys hit it the week we had it, and us and Man Up beat your 3 guilds, and then we gave it back to Man Up, and that started their 32-week streak.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we thought Man Up was going someplace else. We tried to snipe it. I bet it was fucking close. Do you remember anything about that?
Man Up was always going to be back. They weren't going anywhere else.
We rolled the dice on that. We really thought they'd go Calpheon, beat somebody up somewhere else, because we thought that they had the intel on everything. That was Solarax, by the way, from Maelstrom. He was like, we can do this. And I'm like, I fucking like it because it's ballsy, right? And I really, if they're always coming back, they're always coming back. But I really thought it was kind of a last second thing. And I thought we had a chance because, it was Hickey and us, right? So we would have been able to 2v1 you eventually at some point.
Hickey and Guilty, actually. You had 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That was the Guilty days. Interesting. It's funny how things come full circle. A lot of those guys are in Ascendants now, which is...
Yeah, I noticed that, actually.
Yeah.
Noticed that last weekend.
That's right. Yeah. There was only 5. There was only 5 last... We'll get to last weekend, but go ahead, please.
So after that, Man Up got back on their castle, and as much as they were supporting us, they didn't really do anything with us after that point.
Yeah.
We kind of just went back out in the world doing our own thing.
So you weren't building every week. This is something that I actually turned to envy you on, because while you were doing that, I was neck deep, especially if Guilty was part of the alliance. that's when Trap was going hard. We were building every week. We had rotations. We were something close to. It was hard for anybody to fart without me knowing about it at that point. I was just in my phone in Discord 24/7, right? And then during that time, after you helped Man Up get back on their very oppressive throne that thank God you helped liberate, we'll get to that later. You were not building every week. You were just coming in for opportunities, and then maybe you'd take the territory, maybe you just get a good fight, you'd pull back out. How do you deal with that? First, politically, and then second, interpolitically within your own guild. How can you keep your guild members happy? How do you call yourself a siege guild when you don't siege every week, right? And maybe people just say that because I'll take a week off or something like that, but that's something I'll hear every once in a while but you would take months off at some weeks. I don't know. I wasn't paying super close attention to you because you weren't playing all the time. So that's a long-winded question.
The longest we ever took off at that point in time was 3 weeks in a row, and that was over Christmas.
That's a fucking lifetime to take 3 weeks in a
It was
row
over
off.
Christmas, right?
Okay.
And so this guild has always been founded on a few things. First off, I didn't call us a siege guild. I called us a PvP guild. And that's how I advertised it when I recruited. So, I mean, we would do sieges, but we weren't a siege guild per se. But what we would do is in the weeks where we didn't siege, we would just hold our own events. We'd run tournaments. We'd just go grief people in open world, do all kinds of just random shit. But just other things to entertain the players. And it's all, honestly, it comes down to guild morale management. And what it is like, all right, do I take my guys into a fight we have zero chance of winning? Or do I find something else that they'll enjoy? And it wasn't about the fact that we couldn't win. It was about the fact that no one really wanted to talk to us. Our whole thing was no politics, no bullshit. So we didn't really do politics much. And so when I'd approach people, and you know this, when I'd approach people to talk to them to try to get something set up, people would either not trust me or they wouldn't really know much about Notorious. They didn't know how to gauge our strength level because we didn't siege that much. And it's just like a whole bunch of bullshit. And so we were like, fuck it. We just play the game and like you said, plan for fights and take opportunities when we see them. Never really plan on winning per se, and just show up and do what we can. So honestly, it's the roots of this guild, and it's kind of something that a lot of people enjoy is just planning and going for it. Solo, which is what we did last weekend as well, by the way.
And that's part of the reason. Like, I know you remember the week where I ended up pulling, what you did, helping Man Up with Medaya, and I asked you to help. I was in my garage. I remember asking you, and I'm typing this out to you like, hey, come help us on Serendia. I really need somebody. What I didn't tell you was to just take the fucking territory. I think we all underestimated what a fucking troll McCann's was, but it was tough for me to trust you because I had no idea what you were actually ever fucking up to. So politically working with you was like, I know as much about Notorious as I know what ITC is up to. And it's shitty because I know you're relevant, but you had such a lack of connection in the political Discord underworld that it was really hard for me to just go, even though you and I don't want to say we go way back, but, we came from the same hood, right? And so I want to be able to trust you and stuff like that. Vertex also came from the same hood, so that's that. I wanted to be able to trust you, but it was just kind of this kind of in and out and left and right, and I'm here, then I'm there, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been interesting to see. So what I really wanted to ask is, that's been what this guild was built upon, is we just go in, we PvP, your words, and then you low key get into this Vertex thing, right? This Vertex versus Man Up thing, and I think my opinion of it was that you tried to kind of hide it as long as you could, that you were directly working for him because you've been such a rogue agent for so long. You kind of played that political chip, and then once you sat on Calpheon for a while or whatever the case was, it was very clear that Notorious was part of the alliance. So if your guild was built upon PvP that's just based off of, let's go there, let's see what happens, hopefully we win, but we're never going into this full lose situation, how do you go from that to we're one of the core allies of the Vertex Alliance?
So we never really got credit for being one of the core allies of the Vertex Alliance because of the way we played it, but we definitely were there from pretty much day one. What we did have is we had some rapport with Man Up. we never really, I myself knowing this being our PR guy or political guy rather, never really played the two-sided thing. I didn't take information from Man Up and give it to anybody on this side, but I was able to get information from Man Up. So like what we were doing was I could talk to them and kind of get how things are going and gauge what we wanted to do. But the whole time, Vertex has just been better to us. Like Vertex has actually treated us like friends. Vertex has been legit allies. They're good people. And we worked with them to knock Cho off Calpheon, which I've always had this 5 crowns goal, right? And I think you have 4 crowns as well, so you kind of know how it goes. But
Yeah.
We needed Calpheon and need Medaya, so we decided to play for Calpheon, and that's the only way we were going to play for Calpheon was to get into some kind of alliance. And we talked to Man Up about it, which if Man Up had seen the future coming, they could have kept us as an ally if they had just helped us get Calpheon. But they didn't. And I started talking to Vertex. And then one night, I was ready to plant. Okay, do you remember we had a 3-week streak on Balanos? I think we only kept it for 2 because the 3rd week we ended up dropping it.
Yeah.
We won it, but we ended up giving it to Sazerac. That weekend, we were going to go back to Balanos because we were at this point we were strong enough to win Balanos on our own. We had knocked Kyokai off and Hiki off the week before, but what happened is Winners and Sasha messaged me in the middle of the night, and I had placements set up with allies to go back to Balanos. They were like, "We need you in Calpheon now," and so I was like, "Sure, am I going to get the castle?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll put you in the rotation. You can have it last." And I was like, "I don't want it last. I've got a guaranteed win tonight. First would be nice." Like, well, you got a guaranteed win. I can't give it to you first, but I'll give it to you second. And so you remember they gave it to us second in that rotation, but we ended up going there, and I think we spent 7 weeks before we actually ended up taking Cho off the territory permanently. And
wow.
Then we did a rotation there, so it was Vertex, us, Black Rose, and Black Rose started having some trouble, unfortunately. I think Sasha's a good leader, and I enjoy his guild. And I was really sad at this point in time to see him struggling, and he didn't really let anyone know he was struggling. He was like, we're okay, we're okay, we're okay. And then one day he was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And so he dropped out, and that was where you saw Vertex, Notorious on Calpheon. And so what we ended up doing there was we were just this is actually the turn where Man Up decided we were on the enemy side. And what I ended up finding out later is that they had a spy in our guild, so they kind of knew some shit. But we went Vertex, Notorious, Capital, and then we went back to Calpheon to take it again. And this play didn't make sense to a lot of people, but what we were doing was we were holding Calpheon so that Man Up couldn't go there without hitting one of their allies, air quotes, or
Right.
friends.
Right.
We weren't really allies at that point, so we were still friends. And they finally said, fuck it, and just hit us anyway. And they hit us multiple times, and so we openly just joined the alliance, even though we'd effectively been there since day one.
Nobody had any. We all knew that you were part of the alliance the second you took Calpheon. That was the consummation of that, for the record.
Yeah, that's all good, but we made it public, and that was when we really decided we were just going to do what the alliance wanted, and they wanted to go east, so went east.
So how did the members? I'd love to give you. I'm going to talk about my experience with that because you brought up some interesting points, and I feel like we've got a lot of parallels between our guilds, which is interesting. But how did the members respond to that? You know, was kind of the core of my question. There is thank you for the background and the story, but you know now there's an expectation and a rotation and all that stuff. Was everybody happy with it because you guys were well paid, or was there like, oh, this isn't really what we are about?
The thing is, you've either been a part of the alliance or a counter alliance for a long time, and that's been controlling all 4 regions of Medaya. Now it's finally starting to not be that, but for a long time, that's what it was. The alliance held 4 regions for a long time, like 6 or 8 weeks. And so even though we didn't really want to just fucking hit guilds with 4 or hit Man Up with 4 or 5 guilds and, just do the various bullshit we were doing, or sit weekends out where we would just sit on Calpheon with 3 other guilds and no one would show up. There wasn't really another choice. And you know this. I mean, you were part of it too. That Alliance versus Counter Alliance really controlled most of the regions for most of the time.
Yeah.
And so even the guildies who were like, we're not getting that much PvP, we didn't have an answer because we couldn't really do anything else. Now we can start to do other things, which is where you start seeing like last Saturday, where we just solo drop. And we're like, fuck it, because there wasn't anything else to do. But so God damn it, I lost my train of thought. There was something I was
Okay, so let me talk about my interactions with Vertex. Right, so when the Cho Nation thing went down and Hikikomori left us high and dry because they wouldn't build, because honestly, just straight up, the guild leader of Hikikomori was garbage. He was a terrible leader, and that's all it is. And so when we got axed down by, I think it was Vertex, when we were on Calpheon, the second week after Hiki had taken the castle, half of Hiki left after we got axed down, and then they refused to rebuild after that week, right? And so we kind of regrouped, and okay, we have to go back to Balanos. Now we have to sell this to Cho, and Cho was like, no, screw you. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. And they're like, but you have to get Hiki to build. I'm like, I physically can't get other people to do things that they will not do, right? So we go back there, and then so I hit up Winters, and I'm like, hey, you know, Calpheon's yours. We're out. We picked this lag sucks. You know, it was 100% lag back then, right? It was who could outlag who or axe down or whatever. It was a garbage time to be in Calpheon. But that was the aim of Trap Lines for a long time, right? So then we go back to Balanos, and I'm talking to Winters, and I'm going, you know, let's do something. Let's fuck something up. Let's head east. Like, he talked about heading east for fucking months, right? And so I'm like, let's just go east. And he's like, yeah. Obviously, I can't trust you fully for certain reasons. And I'm like, I honestly have no idea what those reasons are, but Hikikomori Fortune built for Man Up 10 months ago or something. Is that why you can't trust me? And so we were playing this cat and mouse game for 10 months. And then, like, Capital is getting at Calpheon territory. And, you know, Notorious is coming out of nowhere. And it's funny that you say that Vertex treated you like friends, because I've got nothing but, not even mild disdain, but like really aggressive disdain from them when I've had absolutely no connection or problem with them right up until the point their offer to me was to stay out of the fucking way. that was almost verbatim exactly what I was told. Just stay out of the way. Just get out of here. And it's like, well, I think the first week of Vertex, Notorious, Cho Nation, Aftershock, Hiki, Black Rose was a phenomenal fight. That was great PvP. And all of a sudden, I'm being crucified for it because we came in as, you know, we've always kind of just flowed with the wind. I'll go put Snake back on a castle. I don't care. I'll go fight against whoever's on Calpheon. I don't care. And I think if there's anything I've done, you know, throughout my Siege career, it's just not care about who wins. You know, hey, I want to give you an offer. You want to fight? Yeah. Are we on the winning side? Are we going to like 10v1 somebody? No, we're probably going to lose. I'm in, you know? And it's just so funny that you got picked up for that. And I was treated like a redheaded, you know, cousin that just lives in the basement and hasn't seen the sun for 2 months.
Well, Tim,
it's so funny how similar our guilds are. And I played the political game a lot more than you have, right? And then
a lot more back then, yes.
Yeah, and then you haven't, and you're kind of this unknown, and they just latch onto that. It was just interesting how the cards fell through all that.
Well, the thing is, I was always a straight player. When it came down to these wars and the sieges and stuff, if someone said, I need you to do this, I will give you this, I would do what we were asked to the T every time. I never went back on my word. I never did anything weird. And I know we always seemed like the agents of chaos and always seemed like we were out of control, but we were always honest about what we do. And it made us really, really easy to work with. And I'm not going to say you backstab people or you did anything, because your history is long and I don't really remember all of it. But the whole thing was just that we were a known quantity. We have always done what we and you've worked with us. So you've seen the same thing. Fuck. You were like, hey, go to Medaya for me and fucking fall on a sword. I was like, all right, what do I get out of it? You're like, you get Balanos out of it. And you can get Serenity out of it too, maybe. And I was like, all right, done. We're there. I mean, and you opened that interaction dishonest, but about 2 hours later, I hadn't built yet. I could have ripped up. when you came clean with me and told me what was really going on.
It wasn't dishonest, but I certainly didn't give you all the information, and I knew you were smart enough to know that you could pick that up. I couldn't tell you what I was up to, right?
What happened?
That was the worst
McCann.
week of my political career, was having to pull that Medaya thing off. But I think maybe now you understand why I had to do that, right? With a little bit of context and getting in the shit a little bit. I couldn't just be like, hey, bro, heading over to Medaya, top secret plan, hope you don't tell anybody, because you're this agent of chaos that has no political ties to anything, right? You could have just put that shit in world chat like that, and there would have been no negative repercussions.
Well, the thing is, and I don't know if you knew this, but we were also talking to Snake about helping them at that point in time.
No, I didn't know that. No, I thought Q's was up my skirt, man.
Before. Yeah, we went the week before, and we got bodied by Vertex. It was pretty bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they just needed the trap alliance, I guess.
Versus their alliance. It was us and Snake versus that whole alliance. It was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But no, with the whole McCann thing, the reason we ended up going there is because he said, "No, come, I want off this territory. I will give it to you."
Yeah, I believe that too.
And I knew that it would sell you. No, I have chat logs still.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really dishonest.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was that whole incident.
Yeah, that played bad on me, man. That made me look like such an asshole. And McCann's had his fun with Good Fight, and good for him. But man, maybe that was his point or what he wanted to do. Because we were supposed to show up just to get the territory. That was literally it. The last thing I wanted to do was fuck you. Like, we've had this great... I mean, you're beautiful and everything, and I love your goatee, but like the last thing I wanted to do was put you in a situation that would just get you screwed. And I just really didn't see that coming. I really didn't see that coming. We want off this territory. Good Fight really didn't need us on Serendia. But it's just crazy to me that, he's, Good Fight's on Serendia for weeks, and the second he gets off, he's like, oh, screw this. I'm 100% done with this. But then he screws you out of a territory that would have... man. We haven't talked... We talked about that a little bit on text, but I don't think we've openly in voice talked about that. But I felt bad about that, man. I never... That was stupid. I would have played that differently, for sure.
It was a moral strong point for my guild at that point in time. McCann's put us in this situation where he bullied us. We made some plays so we could get some damage on their fort as well. Then we had this whole meeting in the end where McCann's and Jin were supposed to 1v1. And then McCann's whispered to me that he wanted me to bow to him or kneel to him for the territory and do some role play shit. And I told him, no, I'm no one's bitch. And he knocked us off the territory and backstabbed us. And I was like, all you did there was make yourself look like a fucking idiot and make me look stronger than shit. And it was like, it was crazy because it really was a morale boost for my guild. They weren't upset that they got backstabbed. They were like, look, we've got morals. And I mean, that also probably played into the future where people were like, this guild's honest. This guild stands for something. And so, I don't know, that was kind of a kingmaker week for us, actually. It really was a good thing, believe it or not.
Well, that's an interesting point, because a lot of my guild was like, Good Fight has screwed over everybody that they've ever worked with. Why would we go back to Serendia? They're only going to make an ass out of us. Because they could knock us over if they wanted to. No problem. They're one of the best open field fighting guilds I've ever seen. I think the server, since the server merge, has ever seen, right? Because FML was never really part of this. And so FML is something of a legend at this point. So disregarding that, from what we've seen personally, I think personally that they were one of the best open field fighting guilds to date. So that being said, it's like, why would we put ourselves in this position? They've backstabbed everybody. But McCann's was 100% straight up. I mean, he dipped out of backing up Snake, his ex-guild, to go fuck Kyokai up on Serendia with me. It was insane. It was like, why out of everybody else, he's literally stabbing Snake in the back to help me on Serendia kill Kyokai because what did he, like, slash wink at him or something? I mean, I know Ancient Panda has no idea when to quit on anything. So I assume that had a lot to do with it, but it was really surprising to me. And that's where I put a lot of my clout in, is like, for whatever reason, this guy has done some weird stuff with a lot of different people, but it's never been with me. So I'm just going to keep rolling with that. Oh, and then, that dude, you hit it.
He was there to backstab. That was all he was there for. He had backstabbed us multiple times, actually.
Yeah.
One time sorry about that. He created a bunch of drama between me and Sasha because Sasha thought we had backstabbed them, and we thought Sasha had backstabbed us.
Oh my god.
And in reality, McHands just played us against each other without saying shit. It was really stupid. And then we talked it out, and that's kind of how we're like, oh, we're cool with Black Rose now all of a sudden.
Wow.
That was way back when we ended up going to Balanos together a couple times. But yeah, that fight was, or that guild was, honestly, I think they were a nightmare. But I don't mean like in terms of strength or anything. I mean, they were a known quantity. They would backstab everyone they ever worked with, period. Every time.
It was never me until that point, and it wasn't even directly me at that point.
Well, that's the thing. When you get backstabbed,
so
it isn't you until that point.
But I backstabbed him too. I think if he knew I was going to go help Snake, he would have done something about it. I don't know what, but he would have. I don't know how it could have turned out any worse. But let's move on from that. So we talked about your experience with the Vertex Alliance. How do you feel about the outcome of it? How do you feel, when you hit M and you look at the map? Are you happy you did it? Would you have rather been on the other side?
I mean, did I want to kill man up?
No, okay. Well, that's a good question. That's a very direct question. Are you happy with the outcome is a indirect way of saying, are you happy that man up is dead, right? Go ahead.
To respond to that, I did not ever have ill will towards man up. Well, not during the whole alliance thing. It was when Lyrelay came out and was saying some fucked up shit about me, about how I was selling his information and all this other shit, and that he had spies in my guild, and he was just talking a bunch of shit. That was when I really got mad at Man Up. But I had never been interested in killing them. Knocking them off of Valencia was just a byproduct, a means to an end. I didn't really care. I was there for the PvP and to just throw in and do what we could, really, to kind of shake up the server. And yeah, there were 20 dead weeks or 15 dead weeks where it was like, well, there's not much going on. But that's kind of just the byproduct of metagames changing in this and huge alliances being a thing. Now that alliance is down to like 7 guilds, which is not 20, which is where it was at. Actually, I think at one point it was like 26 guilds. But
so what brought you into the alliance? Was it really just kind of finishing out the crown?
Well, that, and I had gained a respect for Sasha, and Winters and I had been talking, and Winters and I are on pretty good terms. I'd call him a friend. One sec, sorry. Anyways, sorry about that. But no, I mean, it just, they knew we were fairly strong enough to even out the scales or even tip the scales. And they were guilds that we worked with. We'd been talking to Sav about some other stuff before then, and they were like, all right, well, you've been wanting to work with us. We got a job. Let's do it. And so that was how we came in. So effectively, we were probably the third big guild to join that alliance. And eventually that whole alliance ended up shaking up the world. We flipped Show Nation. We ended up picking up Hexus and Velocity. And it all started back in Calpheon. I mean, it was just a play for Calpheon to begin with. And then there had always been these talks about going to Valencia and knocking Man Up off. Sasha doesn't like Man Up, right? And Vertex, I mean, I think Vertex is going.
Sasha doesn't like many people. So
Sasha doesn't like a lot of people.
We're on Sasha's short list, man. I like Sasha too.
I think he's hilarious.
He's awesome. You want to talk about an agent of chaos? Holy shit.
But so really, I think Vertex's goal at the end of, I think their end game goal is to be number one, and they had to take Man Up down to do that. Now, I don't know if they could take this version of Snake down. I think this version of Snake's much stronger than Man Up, not only in actual game strength, but I mean, I think the glue that puts that guild together is a lot stronger than what held Man Up together. I think Snake actually enjoys playing with each other, and while they do have a lot of Man Up members, I think that guild, I really think that if they lose Medaya in the coming weeks, say that happens at some point, if they lose Medaya, they aren't going to crumble and fall apart and hate each other. I think that they will just get it back.
Well, I don't think so. I was actually in the secret Man Up Discord after a while there because, Hybrid fell apart. That was a whole joke. That whole thing was probably just to cuck me out of Valencia, right? And then the Hikikomori thing was obviously stupid. So all of a sudden, I'm Man Up's strongest ally, which I never really wanted to be, but that's how it played out. So I'm hanging out in their Discord. I'm
It's an
getting to know.
interesting position.
It's not the position I ever really want to
I've
be
been
in
there
again.
too, dude. I know
So
how it feels. I've been there too.
yeah. But so I'm hanging out in their Discord, and it was such a pleasure to get to know these guys. And I know people are like, "Oh, Tim Allen writes his dick." Right? That's the first thing you get when you. I know you know that. The first thing you get when you
Dude.
do
Oh,
anything
yeah.
with Man Up is, "Wow, you must love the taste of Lyerley and Lakari's dick." And it's like, I talked to Lyerley once this week, and it's like we just it's PvP, right? But so anyway, it was interesting as kind of as a post-mortem here on my side of things. There is a tight community within Man Up, and that's why a lot of them are within Snake, and that's the natural that's the natural progression of things. Where you see Mac and Vert have a real friendship, and Zethian is not too far behind. Those are kind of the public figures, but there's a whole bunch of other people, Trey and Carl and all these guys that I got to know. It was really cool getting to know them. And seeing how that worked, and I was honestly a little surprised, but because their Discord was active throughout all of this, but the dissonance that I saw building between some of the members that were not quite in that core, where it's like, why are we giving Aftershock Calpheon? Why aren't we taking it? Stuff like that. Why aren't we just 1vxing? That was kind of the dissonance that started within Man Up that I personally firsthand heard and saw. And Huntler's going, "Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. We're going to talk about, the future." And here I am just overhearing a conversation, learning about what's happening with this alliance. And so the post-mortem of that is, I'm surprised how quickly it fell apart. I really am. Because there was a path to rebuilding that clearly Lyerley just wasn't about.
Lyerley was done with this game, to be honest.
Yeah, he said that to me too in very direct words. Like, if it wasn't for the guys that I love playing with, we'd be straight the fuck up at this game. And I believed him. You're right. So I tried to pull some additional resources and stuff like that, but all the people I know have quit.
Yeah.
And Pax is on the other side, right? I thought we would have great PvP, these amazing podcasts like we did for a while, where our alliances are just smashing against each other. I thought it would be a really great thing for the game, honestly. And maybe I'd get my crowns out of it, too. I got 1 out of 2, not too bad. I'm fine with that. I'll get Valencia one day. I'm going to be here a long time. But I really thought this would be... Yeah, I thought this would be a big smash, And then Hybrid just instantly gone. And then Hikamori, the second they get a second whiff of Calpheon, he's done. He's got some new e-girlfriend or something. And it's like, how do you plan for that? Now I look like an asshole, and suddenly I'm the strongest ally they have. It's like, this isn't going to go well. But yeah, a big shout out. I know this podcast is about you, but a big shout out to my guys for sticking through that. We lost nobody over that. We lost nobody over this Man Up thing. What we lost people over was the PvP changes they made and how they gave us no context on that, and how they just dropped it right on our face and just didn't give a shit.
You and everyone else there, man. You and everyone else. It was one of the roughest times to play this game. Try and hold your guild together was that shit right there.
Well, I had Art on last week, right? I had Art on last week, and they're like, "We're on Serendia for 3 weeks, so we didn't even." I'm looking through my podcast trying to figure out how I can do better and all that kind of stuff. And I see that, and I just straight up curse him out when he said that. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't curse out my guests, but it's like thinking about that. It's like, Jesus, you sat on Serendia for all these weeks while we all suffered. We just suffered through week after week trying to get nodes. What are we going to do for Siege? Like, oh my God.
So I was on Calpheon for 2 weeks during that as well.
Okay, well, you can get the same treatment then.
No, that was kind of planned. I was like, all right, this is a rough time. I need a territory now. I've got guys that are shaky. We were all feeling it. But, I mean, we ended up being on territory for 2 weeks during that period as well, so that really helped out. And it was really rough. I feel for you guys. As far as Man Up dying, to be honest, Man Up does have a strong core. The guild called Man Up is obviously they really like each other. They like playing with each other. However, the guild called Man Up in Black Desert Online was an amalgamation of smaller guilds: Man Up, Mango Bay, Gravity, etc. There's just people that they'd picked up, and they stayed in these cliques. And so things started to come apart at the seams rather than the man up group themselves falling apart. Obviously, those guys all still like playing with each other, and they're very strong. I mean, we fought Snake last night, Thursday, 2 nights ago. We fought Snake. And they're insanely strong. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the man up guys, you see them there, and it's just they're impactful. They're crazy. And yeah, no, you're very right about. I think those players do enjoy playing with each other. However, I don't think that the guild man up was comprised of those players. And well, not entirely those players. I mean, and Lyreley told me back in September or August of 2017 that he was taking a break from the game until October 2017, and that he wasn't feeling it, and he had been not feeling it for a long time. And I had kept contact with Lyreley for the most part, and I was honest with him. I mean, obviously, I can't tell the plans of the Alliance, but I'm not going to fuck the guy because I looked at him as a friend as well back then. And, I mean, he told me that he was falling out of the game. He just wasn't that interested. And then eventually one day he was just like, fuck this game. I'm over it, man. I'm done with this shit.
You know, it just kind of came to a realization that out of the entire Alliance, outside of, you know, the couple little guilds that do the dead drops every once in a while and all that kind of stuff, I'm the only guild that survived on the other side.
You are.
I'm the only guild. Man Up is dead. Hybrid is dead. Hickey is dead. Just every major guild that came into that, even including the guild that ran it. I never really put that together, that I am the only surviving guild of that. Man, yeah, I'm putting that on my fucking resume, dude. That's and what's been great, and we'll pull into last week's fight on this a little bit, is I think it's great in a show of grace that Vertex isn't up my ass, right? I feel like there's maybe no ill will, might be a strong word, because you know, the memes between Winners and I hope you realize that it was just podcast memes and stuff. Play
like
League
that.
With me? Yeah, I really do want to play League with him, but that's fine. He was honest. He's like, I don't want to play League, and I'm like, all right, let's pick another game. He goes, yeah, sometime. I'm like, all right, you still kind of hate me. That's fine. I get it. But it's cool that he's just letting me be. You know, I'm not getting zerged out every time I place on Balanos or something like that.
I'll tell you honestly.
Yeah.
We never had intent to kill a bunch of guilds.
Vertex was up my ass for quite a few weeks there. They wanted me to die. That was clear.
The end game was not to kill Man Up, but rather to balance Man Up's strength out with Vertex so that they could fight evenly. Which actually came around, but then Man Up died. Now, beyond that, I don't know. But as far as killing all these other guilds went, that was a byproduct, and that wasn't really us.
No,
Hybrid
it wasn't
fell apart
you.
Because
that
they were
was
a merger of two guilds that were very shaky.
Right.
Hickey fell apart because their leadership was weak, man.
Yep.
And I don't mean like the whole guild, but their leader was weak.
I ran that guild for 3 months. I've heard
that they had some legit officers. I've heard that they did have some legit officers.
Yeah, 100%.
Their leadership itself, their leader was weak. And as for the other small guilds that helped or tried to help, I mean, actually, Ascendance is still alive, and I'd say they're thriving.
That's right. You're 100% right. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. I was being a little selfish. And that was the one good thing that came out of that, right? And that kind of brings us into this last week, too, is I've been working with Fresh is one of the coolest dudes. He really is.
He's easy to work with. He's easy to work with.
He's so easy to work with. If he's got something going on, he's got something going on. If he's like, hey, I can only bring 40 people and it's going to be we're not going to help. Like, but we'll be there because I want experience. I want to get into the game. And that has been, it's something that happened organically between him and I. And that's why he was my first podcast. I just asked him, I was like, I need to figure this out. Can you help me out? He's like, anything I can do. He's just such a cool Midwestern guy. And it's so great. But I'm really happy for the strength of his guild. I really want a 1v1 Ascendance right now because, and let's just get into last week. Strong. Yeah. So what was your point of view, since you couldn't make the Siege podcast last week? What was your point of view of what happened? Because I didn't see shit outside of a terrible CTG.
Okay, so I felt Ascendance was the strongest guild that was fighting us. Again, we only did see you through that CTG, so yeah, didn't get much of a look at Aftershock. Haste and Ascendance, we were pushing both guilds without PA, and it was going fairly well, but obviously eventually things are going to cascade out when you're just outnumbered that heavily. That's how it works.
Yeah, Ascendance was cannoning you from their base.
Yeah, I told Ceradoxy of Rage, I was like, look, We can go there and help you win that territory. You can do whatever you want with it. Or if you say, no, you don't want our help, we're going to go there anyways. And he said, no, he didn't want our help. And so we ended up solo dropping. We're just like, fuck it, we're here. Because there was nothing else to do. They're like, why don't you go fuck with Barcode? And I'm like, we don't have an ally. Barcode has Legatum. I don't want to go get 2v1 by Barcode and Legatum.
I would have helped you hit Barcode, dude. You fucking idiot. Message me sometime.
Well,
Jesus.
I don't really like to play the political game all that much. I just wanted to drop and have some fun.
We're buds,
so
man.
Dropped.
We can go fucking hit somebody. Jesus Christ.
So we dropped, and I don't know what Rage and New Era were doing the whole time. I hear you were fighting both of them, and they were trying to hold you back, or I don't really know.
Yeah, I got the VOD. I'm
going
to put it up on YouTube. I'll link it to you. It was an
I got some
fight.
shit through the grapevine that they didn't want to help us because they didn't want us there. But that all aside, we ended up 1v3ing effectively because you did CTG us in there, and it was pretty impactful.
Oh, do not call that a 1v3. That was not impactful.
Okay, a CTG that takes us down 25% is pretty impactful.
We did nothing. I'll show you the VOD, man. It's on my Twitch right now. It was one of the top 5 worst CTGs, right? We as guild masters, we all have these fucking horrible CTGs,
hilarious, dude.
right?
Oh my god, we just fucking blew you guys apart.
We were standing out there doing nothing, and then we get this little crack, and we're supposed to flood in the base because Ascendance was going in on the other side, right? And so we're supposed to go through this other side, but the hole was a meme, and just half my guild gets stuck in this hole, and it's right on the VOD. So I really want to show this to you. I'll at least clip it and show you.
Yeah, I'll check it out after this.
And so then I find another hole, but what I don't realize is while I'm trying to get this wall that has, just a dick hair left, is that you guys are pushing out into my guild. Well, I'm asking them to wrap around. Nobody's telling me that that's happening. And so then you flood out outside the other hole, and it was one of the top 5 worst siege CTGs I've ever done. But we really hit. Maybe we created pressure. We were there, right? So it was a 1v3. I'm not gonna take that away from you. I won't take that away from you. But us and Rage were on each other the whole time, and we fucking did work on Rage really well. And Rage is a strong guild. I don't understand them. You want to talk about a guild I don't understand? What are they doing?
Scotty just plays. He plays the game to play the game. He's there for PvP and he wants to have fun. That's just how he is. He's a good guy. Scotty's pretty. He's going. He just wants to fight. That's all there is to it. Now, New Era, I noticed right as we went down, they pushed into Haste, easily took a fucking wall out on Haste, and they were doing some damage to Haste. And I wondered where that was the whole time we were fighting, because any pressure on Haste or Ascendance, and we would have ran the other guild over like it was nothing.
Well, that was the issue there, right? So I was getting some messages from Bear, and he was like, "Hey, we're getting pushed in pretty hard. Like we need some help." And then New Era would come in to help Rage because we were killing Rage faster than Haste would have gone down. We were one push away from axing him down, and then Fresh comes in and he goes, "Hey, we got Notorious to 50%. You want to just knock him out?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's just get Notorious out first." Instead of us killing Rage on the next push. Monday morning quarterback, I'm watching this VOD. I streamed it while I watched it for the first time. I'm going, what the hell was I thinking? Just get Rage out. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? And then we have to start completely over on Rage because we command a gathered on you. I always do.
Third elephant. The third elephant we got hit with from Haste actually ended up going through our gate and taking our fort to half-life.
Oh, wow.
We were still healthy, and then that elephant did 50% to our tower. It was pretty brutal.
So
it
pressure
happened fast. It took about 25 seconds for that thing to go from 100 to 50. It was insane.
The pressure we were able to put on it was Rage really had a poor turnout, and I know they always have a low turnout, but we
45.
had like 75, and we were right next to each other, and there was nobody at their base. We'd horse charged a wall down instantly. It wasn't 3 minutes into the fight before we were in their base. I thought it was New Era until I saw their node because they changed their icon to something stupid. So I just it was a fun fight. It was a lot of fun. I guess so I guess Ascendance, and they've picked up. I'm happy that they picked up the hybrid guys, obviously, because Ascendance and I are going to be working together for a while, and I don't think that's a secret.
Ascendance felt really strong, but really what it comes down to is if you're getting outmanned on a siege, you've got minute respawn timers. And when you're getting hit from 2 guilds, we built minimum distance from both guilds.
Yeah.
And it was intentional. We dropped there because we knew that's where the action was going to be. We didn't care about winning. We just wanted to fight. It's the whole reason we were there. And so we didn't know what guilds they were, but we were minimum distance from them. And they were hitting us from opposite sides. And so when you get this tug of war over your base, what happens is you can't fully wipe a guild because they just back off when you push into them.
Right.
And then they chain med kit and they get their whole force back up. And you're still at half because you went to go push the other guys who are doing the same thing. And you can't stamp them all the way out because then you expose your backside and your fort takes too much damage. So really when it comes down to a 2v1 on a non-castle territory, it's just really, really hard to deal with. And so that was what that was there. And then you guys CTG'd us when we were playing dead. We have this little play we do from time to time. Where
you don't have to say it. You don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. No. It's obvious, and we've pretty much shown it at this point to several guilds. But we'll just lay there dead, and people, you know the standard plays when you're pushing in a base. It's push in. Oh, they're about to respawn. Back out. So you'll time their respawn, and you back out. So what we'll do is we'll lay there dead. And the time our respawn, they back out, and so we'll go. All right, keep laying there dead. And we'll just sit there dead. And then they'll push in again thinking, well, I don't know what they fucking did. And then we'll just respawn on top of them with massive invincibility from respawns and just blow a guild up. I mean, we wiped man up.
Yeah, that did fuck with us. I got a couple of messages from Fresh. He's like, oh, we just put them on timers. They're on timers. They're on timers. Get here. They're on timers. They're on timers. And it's like, nope, they're not on timers. They're just 90 Notorious. How many people did you have for that siege?
We had 80.
80. Okay. 80 Notorious flood out. I had fun. I thought it was going to be a little hairier than it was, but I guess honestly, I think I underestimated Ascendance to be completely.
They were pretty strong. I think Ascendance was very strong. We were able to no PA push both guilds, but eventually it gets overwhelming. When we were using our cooldowns, it was primarily on Ascendance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really respect what they've done. I think Fresh is doing a good job, and he's building. I think that guild has a good future.
I couldn't happen to a better guy, if I had to say so myself. So, okay, let's glaze over this real quick. Do you have any take on the hacking situation that's been going on here?
Well, it's awful for the game, man. I same opinions everyone else does. It ruins the game. It inflates the economy. Nothing can go to legit players. The exploiting with sea monsters is even more crazy than the hacking itself. Like, I honestly think the exploiting was worse than the hacking. But yeah, it's just bad. It hurts the game, and I'm glad they're starting to do something with it. But I mean, there's still hackers out there. Fought a guild recently where we'd see multiple blizzards from one wizard in a single push.
Yeah, we've seen that too. Yeah,
no cooldowns, just V from the same player just over and over and over again, stuff like that.
So as a self plug for this, if anybody from you or Notorious or anybody that's watching this sees somebody that's clearly hacking, please just send screenshots and information to me. You don't have to message the GMs. You don't have to wonder when your ticket's going to get answered or anything like that. I'm on top of it. I'm talking to them. I've gotten lists of people from multiple sources because of this little plug that I do. So if you know somebody that's doing something shitty, even if he's your friend or you think he's your friend, he's ruining the game for everybody, including yourself. Report these assholes to me, just to me. I'll do it. I'll do all the work. I'll get my names changed, all my troll names. I'll get them changed. Already done twice. But I'm in a constant conversation with these guys. And so I want to see this fixed because this is, outside of lag, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in this game. And I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think they're doing a great job banning these people, and they're getting quicker and quicker at it. And I think they're taking my feedback very seriously. And I believe them when they say, obviously they can't tell me who they ban and who they don't ban. There's some sort of privacy thing with that, right? But it's very obvious to me that they're taking the information that I feed them incredibly seriously. So if anybody at Notorious or anybody that's watching, or you yourself, Pax, suspect or know anybody that's hacking, please tell me if you don't want to directly put a ticket in, because I've got that open line of communication.
For sure, man. And I appreciate it, because I was kind of reporting things to Oz beforehand, but I don't think he really is.
Oh, he's out. He's done. He's 100% done.
Yeah.
Last question. Saturday night podcast. Do you want to keep the Saturday podcast, the Siege podcast? What are you talking about? Which one?
No. I meant like the last weekend, or just
no, in general. So Oz is out, right? Ozpin's done.
Yeah.
You want to keep it going?
Yeah.
We got to keep this going. I need help. I need help keeping the Saturday podcast going. Selfishly, it's good for my stream, right? But I think it's just fucking fun. And it's a good time, especially when shit goes down, right? We need to keep the Saturday podcast going, right?
Yep. I don't think it's bad for the game. As long as it's not just this vigor pit of shit where you just yell and bang on pans, pots, and fucking scream random shit. It's a pretty good podcast.
We gotta. I think we might have to create a different Discord. I think we might have to restart. I've messaged Lucaria a couple of times. I don't know if he's gonna pass over leadership to it. So I'm kind of making a public plea here. Give Tim Allen the Saturday podcast. I'll run it right. I'll run it fair. It'll be the same format, but we just need to keep it going. We need to have the proper Siege guilds in there. We can have a meme come in every once in a while. Saturday night's about memes. Thursday night is about history, truth, what's happening, the game, all that kind of stuff. But Saturday night memes need to keep going for the game, for us, for the fun of it. It's half the fun of Siege. It's right. So you get shit on. You're like, fuck, I'm gonna have to go on the podcast with this, right? Or it's like, I win. I can't wait to go on the podcast. You know, you can pull the full wish fairy thing. But I just want to kind of publicly ask for your help on keeping the Saturday thing going.
Of course, man. I'll always send guys there if I can't make it myself.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, or just you have an open mic to 100 plus people plus VOD views and all that stuff and YouTube? Is there anything else you want to add about the game, Siege, or anything else in general?
I mean, no, not really. The game's a lot of fun. It's still fun, even though it looks like everyone's having a bad time.
It's not dying. It's not dying, right? This game is not dying. We've seen this game die, right? Before Steam, this shit was dying, right? Not dying now, right?
No.
Okay, I led him to that answer, but it's absolutely not dying. Play this game. It's a lot of fun. You have to have a lot of time for it, but it's a lot of fun. I'm sorry.
I've had a lot of people try other MMOs, and there's just nothing better. It's rough. It's going through a rough period, but it's still the best thing on the market.
I think your girlfriend's allergic to cats.
I think she's coughing.
I think you have to get rid of the cats, man.
I'm not getting rid of the cats, dude. They're her cats.
We'll tell her she's allergic.
Yeah.
All right, man. I really appreciate you doing this very much.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, I think we'll have you back a couple more times. Thank you for the full story. But as we do this more often, I think it'll be kind of a more focused on what's currently happening kind of thing. But thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna plug myself here. So if you want to dip set, that's good. Next week is gonna be Blade.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Blade Bowquest is doing this next week. So if you want to see Blade Bowquest talk about, obviously, the things he's going to talk about, this will be the place to be. We're going to go over the hacking accusations, the accusations I personally made about him hacking, some of his cringy YouTube videos, and his departure from the game, and obviously his return to the game, and why he's coming back. And then the week after that, we are going to be talking to B-Kill of Snake, July 12th. He is committed to that. He will be here. We are a serious podcast. This will be on YouTube. Overnight tonight, I will be uploading the art podcast from last week. And then tomorrow night, I will be uploading this one. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I'm going to continue my stream as it were. Gonna hit some grinding, gonna do some relic scrolls, all that kind of stuff. I have got to pee. But thank you guys so much for the support. Notorious, thank you. You guys are awesome. You've been a good friend, and Orwin love. So I will be back. I will turn the music back on. Thank you for the Thursday podcast.